Hi, Shreya.
Hi, 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 hi. Thank you so much, Biplab, for being on By the Rules. I'm so excited to speak to you about everything that you want to speak about. And what we're going to talk about today is basically why fungi is the future. And for me, it was so interesting. I know you probably meant it as a joke, but when you proposed, I was like, I definitely have to talk about this. So before we just get into it, like, who is Biplab and how would you like to introduce yourself today?
Thank you so much. This was a quite long-awaited plan, which we're making it happen now. Pretty excited. So, who is Biplab? Biplab is, I am in multiple hats from working with multiple artists, working with multiple designers to an artist to an producers to an like. I have I've been in the music scene for a good 10 years, where I spent working with event management to an PR to an marketing to an brand management to an sponsorship. So I have met and like worked with a variety of people in terms of the entertainments. And mushroom just happened post pandemic. I was stuck at home like everybody. During this whole process, COVID and all these things started really affecting a lot of health, and also my immunity. And so it is all, and it took me a very little time to figure out this how to protect this concept of having natural, using a natural naturopathy and curing yourself. So I always wanted to grow something which I can commerce. I don't want to grow flowers and like veggies. So I thought, why don't, if I have to spend so much time in the whole understanding of the growth of working with nature, I figured out that mushrooms are the fastest way to build your immune, and it really helps you with a lot of neurochemicals which really affecting your like stress management to an anxiety, these kind of things. And like everybody, I started looking for mushrooms. There were no mushrooms in the market. I roamed all over the place. There were no mushrooms I was looking for. And these were the mushrooms were available, only button mushrooms, which are industrial mushroom, basically they grow in factories. So I used this because that was the only thing available, and deep down figured out that mushrooms grows on agriculture waste, and the region where we come from, we are high on like rice cultivation, and a lot of these agriculture waste has been just burnt in after the crops have been harvested. So what I did, I used paddy straw and started working on this mushroom called Wolveria viola, which is a paddy straw mushroom. It grows on a husk like a straw. It's a straw lover mushroom. So what it is set in the tribes basically in our region. Post the monsoon, these particular mushrooms really helps with a lot of biological change which happens after the monsoon, from a joint pain to a muscle pain. So tribal use this mushroom to cure these kind of health issues, and it so mushrooms are 90% water, and as soon as you consume them, it just like spreads on your body, and it really heals. It really works very fast. And so I started growing, and it's a 15-day crop. I started growing the mushroom without any like, it was just YouTube which was just helping me with all my DIY stuff, because yeah, there was no skill set. And after 15 days, suddenly this mushroom started growing, and I just used day or two to like organize this process, and I just followed up. And mushrooms are method farming. Like it grows. They don't need. They are not a high maintenance, but they're also no low maintenance. Okay, they are very temperature sensitive. They need certain dampness, like they are very temperature sensitive and humidity basically. So post like monsoon, I started growing variety of mushrooms now, because when I started growing these mushrooms, and it within 15 days I had like a whole lot of mushroom, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I started distributing it to my friends, families, whoever was just accessible, just telling them I'm growing some mushroom. So the next thing is I start giving in every 3 4 days, and these people started asking me, start giving me money, like you coming and giving mushroom every time. Why don't you take some money? So this
Right.
really helped me to understand that the whole potential of working with gourmet as a food with mushroom, because food is very
Right.
very sensitive to each everybody, and how they're accepting this whole idea about using mushroom, because mushrooms were never been seen. Mushrooms till now it was in a lab, and we are
Mm.
people in this generation we are trying to cultivate them. So
Right.
everybody had to accept this idea mushrooms can be cultivated, because everybody thought
Right.
mushrooms are in the nature, they're dangerous, they're poisonous. You only
Exactly.
know which I mean you can all mushrooms cannot be eaten. So
Mm.
a very vague knowledge of mushrooms. People had no clue living in the cities. They had never seen mushrooms in their life. So when I started
Right.
giving them mushrooms, people were really, really excited. They're full blown with how mushrooms are cultivated and how
Mm.
uh, the whole practice of like using each of these mushrooms in their lifestyle.
Right.
And by then, when I went to second time, they asked. I mean, every time I go to them, go to the people who are giving mushrooms, they start telling me why to grow shiitakes, why to grow oysters. So now in my head, it was like there's so many things. I cannot just
Mm.
resist to growing one thing and just keep quiet and practice. So I wanted to
Right.
enhance my practice with growing variety of mushrooms now. So the only thing, the next thing I moved back to Bangalore. I
Right.
joined IHR, which is an Institute of Horticulture, and I trained in like almost 10 to 15 varieties of gourmet
Mm.
and like 5 to 6 varieties of functional mushroom, which I can grow. And I'm also consulting with other people who wants to grow mushrooms, having a low tech setup, and
Mm.
like and using this whole concept of using your homegrown mushrooms. So this all these things have been it's just happening. I mean, it is just connecting. So it made me believe that we are some part of mycelium,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
if we are meeting in this parallel world where we call it reality,
Right.
um, we are meeting through some algorithm. So and it also said that my internet network is inspired by mycelium network. So if
Okay.
we have meaning in this world where we're talking about certain ideas about
Mm.
mushrooms, so my belief is that I we are a part of spores, some spores, and as a human we are just byproduct and meeting in this like a parallel world. The reality of the world is happening under the earth, which is automated, and we humans are trying to control that process, and
The
that's where we
process.
see this whole fraction of climate change to like the habitats which are getting like all these afforestations which you see around the world.
So I remember at one point you told me that you even take lectures or you're doing a course on I think mycelium at Shrishti College in Bangalore.
So yeah, I teach students how to grow mushrooms, how to work with mycelium actually. So with the waste of the mushroom cultivation is basically a biomass now. You can use it
Mm.
for any kind of a fabrication to a product designing to like a furnitures. So I am just helping facilitating these kids at Shishti, where they started using mycelium as a subject and working towards.
Right.
They're gonna be presenting their projects in the fourth year. So now it is just a plant, like it's just a foundation where it is getting everything just
Mm.
all the ideas are being worked on, and they will be able to.
Right.
So it's a long process. So I go there every now and then and like help the students and I
Mm.
mean talk about mushrooms, talk about
Mm.
mycelium, talk about like the whole micro verse of it.
So if you have to explain to like somebody who doesn't know anything about what you're trying to say here, which is like, how we're all interconnected and all. So what is mycelium to a layman? How would you explain it?
Uh, so mycelium is supposed. It's said that the most powerful thing in this universe, which is the oldest, and it is under the soil, largely known as fungus. So where the food is been supplied to fungus, it is through mycelium. So anything which is decomposing in the nature. So mycelium has
Okay.
the power to decompose anything and everything and return back. And how it return back is basically it comes. There's a so suppose there is a wood in the and there is a wood log in the nature. So mycelium will come and attack, extract all the nutrients, and sprout a mushroom. Now mushroom
Okay.
will release spores, okay, and this spores will again go sit on any organic matter, and the same
Right.
species in the nature will grow. So this is the
Okay.
ecology by itself, and it is just automated. Fungi, mushrooms are there to. Mushrooms are the most important reason for the biodiversity. You know,
Right.
so each so the in the nature when you go, you see a tree. Nobody taught us where does a tree get food from. I mean, where does the tree getting nutrition from? We just know about the photosynthesis. We know about the pollination. Where is the consciousness of this tree is been? So it is held by a mycelium, where
Hmm.
if a tree is getting weaker, so mycelium will just supply nutritions, and it will just let the tree, like, give them some nutrition to grow. So you
Right.
see the oldest tree, you will see a lot of mushrooms around that the whole habitat. You'll see a lot of mushrooms. The most of the oldest trees you will see. If you really want to know how the nature, if you when you are in the outdoor, if you see a
Hmm.
fungi, that means the biodiversity of the particular like a region is fantastic, because there are fungi around, and they're
Right.
helping to just rejuvenate this nature. Mycelium is just like a this powerful like element which can
Hmm.
cure everything in this nature. Like it
Right.
can just take hold of the consciousness of its own.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. In a personal context, what was that journey like? Like, doing something completely different and sort of dedicating a big part of your current existence to growing fungi and exploring that universe.
So ever since mushrooms happened, there's a whole new subject where I'm
Hmm.
just digging every day. So it
Right.
just made me felt that whatever I learned in my whole career of working, studying, whole of childhood, it didn't make any sense. I mean, why was that for? I mean, why as a I mean, why do you have to do so many things and be like whatever you want to be? So it made
Right.
me the stability in life. Basically, people talk about
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
stability. So I was in like a deep. I mean, post COVID, there was no employment for me. I
Right.
was stuck at home, living with parents. It was pretty challenging to know your own, like managing your own self,
Yeah.
which was really tough,
Hmm.
and it made me feel. I mean, I'm just. This is a very dependent life. I cannot be. So this process, while mushrooms are happening, it just made me like overcome with the whole idea about the sustainable living, sustainable, understanding minimalist way of taking
Hmm.
things. I mean,
Yeah.
um, maybe you don't earn, but you should not spend.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do? I mean, I don't spend. I just answer that, and it
Right.
just makes sense for me. I mean, people who explore the idea of living independent and uh, living with your own ideas. So
Hmm.
it was till then it was very dependent. It dependent in terms of my job. It depended on my career plans to self awareness. So that pattern of thinking just evolved with but just being like whatever you're doing it's just not about growing mushroom. It was more about like bringing this topic to
Yeah.
people on the plate, like to know. I mean, nobody's why aren't
Yeah.
anybody's mushrooms are there forever,
Yeah.
and when I started, so I thought let's start the journey with the internet. I mean, till then I didn't had any Instagram or like a website or anything done. So, but a certain after growing like those particular varieties of mushroom, now I thought now I have a little bit of catalog like which I can tell
Yeah.
people I have many mushrooms. So let's have
Yeah.
some let's go internet and like announce it that and Shroomin, the name was just like since being in the space of music and events and like a lot of artsy world, as soon as you take the creative part, a lot of these elements of your design to an concept brings lot of ideas which are not accepted, like not in terms of lot of psychedelic science, lot of science, like these kind of things. So I don't want to go into hardcore like a like
Right.
psychedelic space of
Right.
knowing things. So I wanted to be a very like be there and just be shown. Like so this Shroomin come from like mushrooming to swimming basically. There was not much of big concept, but yeah, just whatever helped me to work on this particular word, it just gave me a direction to talk to take this topic to somebody. The idea was not to have a farm as a like not to have a brand which is only a farm, like which restricts to the boundary of having a farm to an agriculture to an like a cultivation. But the idea was to taking this whole space to a studio to an like a lot of art and craft. So that's
Right.
where I was trying to build this brand. And when I moved to Bangalore, the first impression was it by itself that I mean, how about like why don't you do some show some mushrooms in Kapan Park? That's the most. I said, okay, come. I mean, I can. I don't know what's happened. I mean, I don't know the nature so well, but I can tell you which mushrooms are edible, which I mean, which mushrooms are edible and which are not to be touched, which are not to be plucked. So I mean, that's the basic awareness everybody should know. So that really helped me to like take this brand and get into like the whole education to going to different institutes and like representing mushroom as a subject by itself.
So, like you mentioned something that, the basic awareness of which mushroom to pick and which one not to pick. So, what is that? Like, is that something that you can explain?
There are basic field guides. Maybe I can show you. I mean, so you see mushrooms. I can show it in your book.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So each mushroom has their own purpose. Okay. So
Right.
you see, these are called bracket fungi. Okay.
Okay.
Also called reishi mushroom, which are they are called the
Hmm.
mushroom of mortality. Chinese use this mushroom has been using this mushroom for centuries. They said it. They basically use this mushroom for each and every medicine, and these mushrooms are all over the globe, like all over the forest, because they are the most important mushroom for the biodiversity. Those are called polypores. So and their polypores are. Can I move around while the it's been
Yeah.
podcasting?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are called reishi. Can you see them?
Okay. Yeah. 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 You keep seeing them on the trees and in the nature also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are the most important mushrooms in the nature. They are called polypores, and their gills. You see a small dots in the gills. Okay, they don't
Uh-huh.
have like their gills are not like a line kind of a things. Okay,
Right. Okay.
so and they release a lot of spores. So that if the tree is having this kind of mushrooms, that means the tree is aging, and it this they're helping to like give them the most nutritions in the nature.
Right.
So mushrooms are non-binary.
Very interesting.
There's no gender for mushrooms. Okay.
Okay.
So and how it is been connected with the human, we share 60 70
Hmm.
percent of DNA with mushroom than plant. So we are more
Okay.
similar mushrooms. So what how they are flourish when they have a great temperature. When I say temperature sensitive, we humans are also temperature sensitive. If we have hot,
Right.
we feel hot. When it's really cold,
Hmm.
we mushrooms are also in a similar understanding. When basically there is a great temperature, they are
Hmm.
there, and it is said that the most intelligent species in the Homo sapiens are said are the people who don't care about the gender as a concept. Like
Right.
the most non-binary people with the head, they are the most. It is said
Hmm.
that they are the most intelligent species in the Homo sapien. Okay,
Right.
and that's how we relate to the mushrooms. Are the most intelligent species in the nature, where they know the sensitivity of the whole habitat. So these are called bird's nest, okay, because they look
Okay.
like a bird's nest.
Okay.
This is called bamboo fungus. It grows on a branch of a
Right.
bamboo. These are called inky cap. These are the most common species you can identify. Most of the
Hmm.
species look alike. So it is. unless it is DNA tested, you cannot tell which mushroom is what.
Okay,
So,
okay.
like these Ganodermas, these reishi mushroom, it's a big
Hmm.
family. But
Hmm.
the mushroom which is like which can be consumed, it's called Ganoderma lucidium and Ganoderma antler.
Hmm.
So there are many. You'll see similar looking mushroom, but not everyone can be consumed.
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah.
They are a good texture. Okay, it's the same mushroom.
Hmm. Right.
So they could be any color, any shape. I mean, there are many colors of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you see the gills. They are like cubes, not like a split gills. These are the basic identific field guide to know what is the species.
Right.
And
Okay.
people ask me which mushrooms are edible. So I just tell
Hmm.
them all mushrooms are edible only once.
Right.
Never use any wild mushroom to just consume, unless
Hmm.
you are with the people who are from the same habitat who have been whose ancestors has been using this mushroom.
Yeah.
They You're allowed to use those mushrooms basically.
So mostly when we think about it, we only know of mushrooms as say used in medicine, in gourmet cooking, and in psychedelics and all. But recently, it's also been very present in like say science and technology that they're developing new kinds of materials using fungi and all. So is that something that is of your interest? Is there something that you can share around that even in climate change, for example, how it plays like such a huge role?
When I started reading about this whole how mushrooms waste is the compost. So with my own like expertise, with my own whatever facilities I had, I made a small little ashtray
Right.
of a mycelium which I used it at home. But one of these days it was raining and it was kept out, just decomposed. Okay, so it just got spoiled. But it was just a self practice. So that got me in potential to understand where mycelium is can be used for any kind of a fabrication so a lot of these cosmetic when you ask me the whole futuristic part of the mycelium is
Hmm.
basically there are the science says there are some fungi which are just decomposing these microplastics. Those
Right.
microplastics basically the microns, like a small little
Hmm.
when the plastic is getting mixed with the soil. So there are
Hmm.
microplastics. So there are fungi which are eating this microplastic and like extracting into a like a soil. So,
Hmm.
and there are fungi which are there in the like the deep forest where the water has been cleaned. The fungi is helping to clean the water. And there are fungi which are basically helping the whole ecology to balance.
Hmm.
Like these polypores are really helping this particular tree to survive for long, and whatever tree has it just decomposes and gets the new species by again in the nature.
Yeah.
So I mean we are yet to figure out what, and there's a big science, a big research which is happening in the world of like in the whole world of mycology by itself. So there's a
Right.
whole network of fungal ideas which are people are coming with and trying to expose to the world. So you
Hmm.
will see a lot of changes in the whole packaging industry, like especially in the cosmetic world, where
Right.
most of the packagings are plastic or a thermocol based
Hmm.
packaging. So now, mostly in Europe, you may find in a lot of these packaging, a lot of these good brands who are into sustainable like a setup. They're using these packaging materials where the mycelium blocks are being made in, because these are also very light. They can float. A lot of coffins are being made on mycelium now. Coffin.
Coffins. Okay. Okay. Nice. Very
A
interesting.
lot of these surfboards are made on. There is a whole new, like a whole big museum which how a museum built on Amsterdam which is full of mycelium blocks. You should visit
Okay.
that. Yeah. So that's a
Nice.
100% like so this the world is moving towards the mycelium in a very artistic way of the
Hmm.
artistic ideas. So you will not
Right.
find it is happening quick, but it is in the process. Like the whole fermentation culture, which
Mm.
Chinese and Japanese have been using it for centuries. The food, basically the food can help us to like live for long, and the food habits
Right.
have changed. So what our ancestors had, we cannot have the same food. The
Right.
food pattern, the food ecology itself is changing because of the whole biodiversity to a farming, to a rapid
Mm.
farming. You need a lot of food production now. So there's a quick
Right.
production. You cannot have a lot of food now. You can have only certain amount of food and certain diet on your. Everybody has to move towards. I mean, you will see the shift of how people are moving toward conscious eating. It is already happening in the very very large communities towards the whole
Mhm.
vegan culture and like plant-based culture. But there is a shift which will drastically will change
Right.
because of the food supplies, because of the farming crisis,
Mhm.
countries where we are lacking water to and like a management. So you will see there's a shortage of food. But people have by then people have would have overcome that you don't have to eat a lot. You can have
Mhm.
you can live on supplements. I mean, people don't eat protein anymore. They take only like a protein drinks. So you see how this shift is already happening. So these are the main. I mean, these are the ideas which I'm like understanding when you say future is fungi basically.
For me, it's very interesting to see how certain things in nature or even chemically produced for that matter can really alter the way you think and sort of help. And now, I mean, earlier, maybe even 5 years back, we were not talking so openly about microdosing and psychedelics and all of that. Obviously, there's everybody's reality is different, but then we can all agree on the fact that okay, this is something that exists in nature that has helped a lot of people get better. And that could be in any way. That could be your health, that could be like your mental health, or yesterday on the phone call you told me that it really helps somebody get pregnant, solve fertility issues and all of that. So with respect to that, like what are certain things that like certain misconceptions around uh, how powerful this tool is in a certain sense. And I like to say tool because it's really helping you understand yourself better and the sort of universe around you better.
I mean, it's a very sensitive and also very people needs to know. I mean, though
Yeah.
it could be the most sensitive topic which can be talked about and openly. But I want to bring in some ideas about knowing what you're doing. I mean, basically, what you
Exactly.
if I mean, in our culture, people. I mean, how much ever the legality can you talk about, but the things are accessible. I mean, the
Yeah.
accessibility is not a concern anymore in today's world.
Yeah.
People really want to get in touch with somebody, they can do it and they can get it. So to start with and to understand psychedelic by itself, I mean, what is psychedelic? So psychedelic took a very long time to get this name psychedelic. I mean, it took
Right.
look centuries to figure out what should we call this whole.
Yeah.
So psychedelic means mind manifestation. Okay,
Okay.
and how psychedelic works. Psychedelic work to know psychedelic work. Psychedelic works on your memory. Okay, and if somebody is practicing microdosing or anybody's using psilocybin mushroom for any kind of a purposes, so it really helps with the idea of your own intention of
Right.
why are you doing certain things. If you're putting something on your body, do you
Mm.
have an awareness, a basic awareness to use those certain things, and in what
Yeah.
setup? So it is very very important just to learn those rather than just learning about like knowing each
Mm.
um, psychoactive compounds. It is the intention what you want out of this. I mean, what are you looking at? I mean, what's your, are you looking on your conscious like a setup where you want to do these kind of things in your own therapeutic practices? Do you want to cure certain ideas which you have not, like from like most of the PCOCs to a child, like childhood traumas to like a lot of like suicidal stigmas. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people are suffering from suicidal stigmas. They don't know what will help them. I mean,
Mm.
they are reserved with their own like a secret mind of their own. So And there are people who are, and with this with the knowledge which has been explored in Berkeley to an like John Hopkins University, they are just trying to like advance this whole process of using psilocybin or a psychedelic elements
Hmm.
to like help with their own awareness. What are you going through? So the
Right.
idea of using these mushrooms is very restricted and very like a dependent. Why? Because each people has their own suffering, and each ideas they build them
Hmm.
by themselves. So I mean, I just want to share some names of these psychedelic mushrooms which I have got really fascinated about. There's something called golden teachers, which is a very
Yeah.
profound mushroom in the whole shroom culture. I mean, if you heard of like how a cannabis industry work with from
Yeah.
indica, sativa to like a various of strains. So in
Mhm.
similarly in the mushroom and the psychedelic space, there are many strains which
Right.
people have yet to name them or figure out what kind of strains they are.
Yeah.
So psilocybin cubensis. So psilocybin is the genus, and
Hmm.
cubensis are the strains. So there are many strains, and
Okay.
in our country, basically there are almost like 50 60 varieties of cubensis growing in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, the whole of
Okay.
Western Ghats, and out of which people, I mean, when you people go out or do and shrooms them, they are mostly finding golden teachers. They're
Okay.
finding something called melmac. So they find mostly something called malabar, which is a these are native species which are found
Mhm.
in these regions basically. But
Right.
in the West, there are many. If you, the, I mean, the whole South America to in Canada, they've discovered many strains in their like research. So we are
Right.
yet to like the journey is yet to begin. I mean, of
Hmm.
the whole understanding of psychedelic, and I feel everybody should do psychedelic once in their lifetime.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean,
Crazy.
it shouldn't be for tripping balls, but it more of
Yeah.
an knowing your own potential of what you like. I mean, some people just experience this and they are like this. I mean, it's people talk about this paradigmic shift in their whole
Hmm.
awareness when they use mushrooms or any kind of like MDMA to any kind of psychedelic form. So with mushrooms, what happens is uh, people when people use chemicals like LSDs
Right.
or cocaine kind of things, basically it's a very instant pump, instant
Hmm.
energy when blood pressure changes. With mushroom,
Hmm.
it is slow, gradual, and when you basically uh, knowing your own awareness of suppose you're climbing a mountain with like a big rock in your back. So with
Hmm.
LSDs or these kind of substances, there you reach instant, okay, and
Right.
then there's a drop. You don't know why did you reach here.
Right.
And with mushroom, this is a slow progress. You know your
Right.
ability, your strength, you know your capability of doing your own journey. And
Hmm.
most of the golden teacher users, they say that um, I mean, especially it is named golden teachers basically because it is said that you become your own teacher when you are experiencing golden teacher. And
Right.
people say that when they use golden teachers, the gratitude of like it's a very emotion flow of them, like it's a very
Hmm.
emotion, like it works on a lot of these words which people can't describe, from an empathy, gratitude, wisdom,
Right.
their own. So they discover these journeys basically to know them, to aware about your own emotion control, knowing about your own egoistic
Yeah.
ideas which you've been holding it for the longest. So yeah, this information is very basic, but this
Hmm.
people are very sensitive about talking about these. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, talking about these ideas. I mean, and to integrate. I mean, this is every. I mean, most people are doing it, but they don't know how to share these experiences. But when they
Hmm.
start sharing experiences, it really helps to build their own setup of knowing. about themselves. When you share certain ideas about when you are on a trek, when you are on a tripping journey, what you
Hmm.
felt, because that really, when you put this weight, when you share these ideas and let people other know that this could also be in the greatest thing you can ever found by with your own awareness.
That was really, really insightful. And personally, also, I have like a very similar mindset that it's all about the intention. And, like, yes, everything, has a negative connotation when it's overused and abused and all, but that's not the point that we're trying to make here. I've heard you speaking very passionately about what you do. So there might have been moments in your this journey that made you feel like that okay, something happened and, or this particular person was affected like this. So, could you share some of those with us?
I mean, ever since mushroom started, I have converted my whole family into mushrooms. They had never, they knew mushrooms, but they
Yeah.
didn't know about what is what and everything. So I have like it's like a family. Everybody is like having mushrooms, and then
Right.
again, the first set of I mean, the people who knew me got really, really influenced very fast. Like I mean, a fastest way of influencing, just meeting a friend and telling me, "Hey, why don't you try this mushroom?" Living in Bangalore, where people don't go out in sun, because as
Hmm.
a country we think if you go out in sun we'll get dark, so we
Hmm.
get tan basically. So everybody is suffering from vitamin D2 deficiency,
Yeah. Right.
where everybody is just taking pills.
Hmm.
So and vitamin D is either your UV like a sun or mushrooms. There are no fruits and vegetables can help you with vitamin D2 especially.
Right.
So the basic mushrooms, I started giving these basic mushrooms which are like oyster mushrooms, and just people felt that their immunities are getting like, I mean, you cannot have a lot of mushrooms. Okay, you can have only little mushroom, but this little mushroom
Okay.
only can help you with the whole like a fluidness in your own body.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so a lot of these stomach upsetness, lot of immune issues. So when
Hmm.
your immune is being taken care, you are good to do anything you want. So
Yeah.
and when immune is being taken care, your mood just uplifts. Like when you
Right.
can you have this like extra energy to like do at any to the to you can push yourself to use that energy.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
ever since I started giving mushroom, there's only a whole lot of like overwhelmed with like, okay, I felt this, I felt that.
Hmm.
I'm just collecting these stories about people how it is helping them, and everybody has their own recipes to use them, which is also great. Putting out the best of the recipes and bringing and just I mean,
Hmm.
if I'm here to talk about mushrooms, so it is my
Yeah.
own idea about like how do I contribute to the community? I mean,
Right.
growing is not enough. Growing is not enough. Anybody can grow. I mean, it's a method farming. You learn the method and you have the formula. You can grow it. But that's
Yeah.
not that's not solving the purpose enough. If so, finding
Right.
the purpose when people talk about a lot of purpose in their life, so it's just like a small little things which is making
Right.
solving this whole like just getting introduction by itself. It is a more important. And I mean, somebody talk about certain eating habits, and that itself is
Right.
the introduction, and then the life changed for them.
Correct.
Like somebody just told, why don't you use a certain way of eating or certain way of drinking? Why don't you try
Hmm.
this?
Hmm.
And people help people, right? I mean, if you are suffering from certain ideas, certain diseases, so rather than just going to doctor, somebody will just say, hey, take this; it will really help you.
Right.
So that is where I'm just trying to like integrate my ideas
Sure.
and give it back to the community as much I can. I mean, whatever I'm learning, I'm just sharing. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, the journey I am in.
That's amazing, man.
I mean, it's a everyday step. I mean,
Yeah.
life learning every day, every changes. So when you start noticing the changes, I mean, that's where you move. So I'm just
Right.
looking move forward with the whole awareness. There'll be a there'll be a shift. As I mentioned, people will not use the techniques of olden eating methods. People
Hmm.
will use adapt to the newer way of having their proteins and diets. So you will
Right.
see. I'm working with multiple projects. So there are some ways I'll be able to express these ideas. So it's going to be a big shift. I mean, in the next 10 years, I could just say that.
That's amazing. Biplab, thank you so much. I've definitely learned a thing or two about mushrooms.
Thank you for having me. And it was like amazing talking about. I love. I mean, this is a whole new, transformation of myself where I'm like talking about these subjects and trying to be bold enough to get these experiences out of the people. I mean, this conversation is not just like ending here. There's
Yeah,
a still a whole lot of things needs to be discovered. So
right.
I look forward for like more sessions, more episodes on this subject. You would invite a lot more people, so I'm looking forward for that as well.
Thank you,
So,
thank
yeah,
you, thank you,
thank you
thank you
so much.
so much. Thank you for making the time.